rectangle, and unfortunately my light green doesn't show up very clearly here, but you should all be able to make a rectangle in front of you.
No, you said to start with.
I started with a 2, but if you notice what I did was I matched the steps. So here is my, whoops, where am I?
There's that one that sticks over.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm bad. Sorry. There.
That?
Okay, so I moved it over. So, could you please look?
Thank you.
This was the top step before, and I flipped it over, and I now put it next to the bottom row. And so my bottom row is now in line with my top row. Is everybody able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay? So I guess I want to know, let's think about this. Think about this. How many, we had the first row was a 2, my second row was a 5, I had an 8, and I had an 11. How many numbers do I have here? 4. So couldn't I, isn't an addition problem, repeated addition, can I do multiplication instead? So it's going to be 4 times what?
13.
14. How did you get 13?
11 plus 2.
Okay, so what I did was I took my 11 and I added 2, so I have 11 plus 2, which I know is 13. And where did this 4 come from? The number of terms. So I'm going to do the number of terms. And I had 4. So what is 4 times 13? 4 times 13? 52. Am I interested in 52, or do I only want half? 52 divided by 2. So I am going to do the number of terms times, hold on a second. Can I say the first term and, you know what, I'm trying to give you a formula right now. I want you to see where the formula came from, because as I said to you before, there are many formulas in this section. And I want them to be meaningful to you, Emily, if you turn around, please. So I have the first term and the last term in this case, a to the 4th, and then I divide by 2. Am I good for a formula?
Wait, does it say A1 plus A4?
A1 plus A4, and what else do I do? Number of terms,
A1
that's
plus
it.
A4 what?
A to the 4th, isn't that the 4th term?
The number of terms multiplied by that.
Were there 4 terms here?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, so it became 4 times. The first term, here was the first term was A2, and my last term was 11, and it was 13. Yes.
What if there was like 5 terms?
Yes, what?
What if there were 5 terms?
If there were 5 terms, then my number of terms would be, yes, hang on. It would be 5.
Would it be A4 still?
No, it would be A to the end, actually, all right? In that case, it would be the last term for what you're doing.
So it's number of terms times last term.
Right. And we call this the partial sum. And we're going to use S to the end. So the partial sum is equal to the number of terms times the first term plus the last term. Here was my first term. And then again, I inverted my last term to make a rectangle. But I'm only interested in half. Stephen?
Instead of saying number of terms, can you simply say n? Because if it's a n, then that means that has to be the total number of terms. Because if there's 4 terms, then it's A4, so number of terms would be
A4 refers to the value of the 4th term.
So that means could number of terms just be n itself?
Right. Yeah, so it's just n.
Okay. Meaning instead
There were,
of
in this particular case, how many terms did we have in our step? 1, 2, 3, 4. That became the side of the rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we multiplied. We made a rectangle, and the dimensions happen to be the 4 of these. And I mean, I could start adding, counting them all up, I knew that by extending, this top step and dropping it down, I ended up with 11 plus 2 is 13. But I didn't want the whole thing, I wanted half of it. So it became divide by 2.
I don't get what's in the parentheses.
The first term was a 2. Here are my 2 boxes.
But what if there are like 5 terms? Would it be A1 plus A5?
Yes.
Yes,
So
Why it's A N.
it's the first term plus the last.
Yeah.
right.
And that's it, you wanna add those together before you.
Yeah, and you add those 2 together, order of operations, PEMDAS, you do parentheses first. Okay? All right. That's the formula. That's all you need to know, except, all right, hold on to your hat. I don't want any whining.